Hey, sup, pups? Welcome to another episode of the Power Up Podcast, a podcast that talks all things pop culture, the good, the bad, the ugly, and recently going into the actual spiritual warfare that's happening in there
Mm.
too, because I believe, especially in the entertainment section, the infestation of wokeism is strong in there, and I just want to be another person that wants to get rid of it, burn it up, and just bring back what was, a lot of fun, what made it fun for us. We always love that nostalgia feeling, and it's the flame of nostalgia is dying. So I think we need to try to rekindle
Oh,
it
it's
back. And
awful.
what's up?
It's awful, man. Nostalgia
Yeah.
flag is just they can't use it anymore. It's awful.
Uh, I mean, and that's that's partly why I made this podcast too. Also, because I had a friend who got canceled too, and it really made me mad. So it was just,
Really?
yeah, yeah. My best friend since high school, Eric Roland, both him and I were working on becoming voice actors, and he did a very good job climbing up into that field, and started booking shows, started doing everything correctly. Going in there, getting the job done, leaving, that sort of thing, just showcasing his talent, and he was starting to get a directing position and whatnot. And he got canceled for a wrong thing when the whole pandemic thing happened. The whole Vic Mignogna situation happening as well didn't help. He didn't really comment on that one, but that was when like all that insanity was happening, and he got canceled for a wrong thing about his thoughts about the pandemic. And then Nick invited him on his show too. So there you go. You can kind of guess what happened there. And it was just unfortunate because it really showed who the snakes were in that area. And the people I've had on to like talk about, like Ruben Langdon, for example, I was blessed to have him on the show and talk to him. He's the motion capture and voiceover for Dante from Devil May Cry. And I was like, was any of this stuff like happening back in the day? And he's like, no, not at all, sort of thing. And it's just like all this cancellation, BS just coming up because they're hiding behind the fact of like, oh, we're trying to show equality, we're trying to give a voice and stuff. It's like, no, you're just being abusive without actually leaving physical bruises, and it's disgusting. And it's like, if you truly cared about, and that was the other thing too, it's they didn't care about the craft. The love of the craft is getting thrown wayside, and now it's about, you got to think this way if you want to be a part of the industry. And it's like, no, like it's been done before where people with different opinions can.
Oh man, I've been doing it forever.
Yeah.
The crazy thing about cancel culture, what it has done,
Hmm.
it has given people that normally wouldn't have power a sense of power and a
Hmm.
sense of I don't know, like slaying a dragon or something like that. Like that's like with what we see on social media and stuff like that. When it's like it's time to cancel everyone, folks. We come together. We have the power to get it done. And so when you give people that have never or like they think they feel like they have that type of power, it just especially in the wrong hands, it
Hmm.
just we've been taught that our whole life. With great power comes great responsibility. Don't let this power fall into the wrong hands. Maybe we shouldn't have done that. All our
Hmm.
entertainment has taught us that. And these weirdos that are out there canceling people, it gives them they don't actually have power, but it gives them a sense that they have some kind of superpower that I have the ability to wreck your life forever. So don't you cross me and believe what I believe and say what I want you to say so we can get what I want done because my way's the right way, your way's the wrong way. We don't want to hear your way. We just want you to bend over and behave. And if you don't do it, then your life will be ruined forever. So that's what these weirdos think.
Hmm.
It's like
Absolutely.
it's like a public shaming, I guess.
Hmm.
So
You absolutely, like, you're absolutely correct. And the funny thing is, and I kind of chuckled a little bit when the whole union SAG after strike that's currently happening. I chuckled a little bit too because at one point here in Texas, some union actors uh, didn't get rehired for a certain anime, and there's been times where the union actors came into Texas and were trying to promote to a certain studio, which I'm not going to name because you know screw them, they don't deserve anything, and they're trying to make a right to work state have unions. But now you have this SAG after strike happening to where the higher ups are like, you guys, like all you smaller guys, the higher ups that actually get something out of being in a union are bullying the other ones by saying, if we see you guys work, you're like a scab or something like that. So you shouldn't be working. When you're a right to work state, now you're like, I need to pay the bills, man. So who cares? But they have,
yeah,
but now they're going beyond it to where telling non-union workers like you need to support the cause and stuff like that. And it's like, do you guys not see that the people already in power are not going to give up their power? Like, you guys are foolish, right? But then you have like that dog eat dog situation to where they want to show diversity and they want to show this, so they're beginning to give handouts to people who are oppressed or this or that. And I just laugh because it's like, you got like the people in power. It's like, you guys do realize that the minute they get even a clutch of power, they're going to replace you because they don't care about you, sort of thing. So it's this weird, like, infinite circle to where it's like, to me, it's like, well, no one wins in there in this situation. And it's like, the only way that people can win is to go back to what you were doing, to where you're in there to do a job. You can have fun, but you're there to do a job. But you can have different opinions and stuff like that. And you're there to work. You're there to hone your skill. And if you are the best person for that role or that voice or what have you, that's how it should be. Not, well, we need to give you this because you know you need handouts
I
and
think
whatnot.
it's funny when some of these actors or
Hmm.
actor, whatever you want to call them, have come out and were like, I was working on a show and the writers weren't getting paid and people lost their health care and it was horrible working conditions. And it's like, why didn't you speak up back then? Like, why you have to wait till all this stuff is bubbling over for you to feel like you're doing some kind of superhero thing by calling stuff out, when if you really want to change, you could have like came out and said, hey, look, there's a big problem on this set and studio. There's people here that are like losing money and everything. And I don't really like being a part of it. We've got to do something about that. This has to change. I'm going to take the stand. I'm the star of the show. So if I take a stand, it'll get a lot of headlines. So maybe I can make change. No, they don't say anything. They just let it go until it's time for them to put on their face, put on their makeup, whatever it is, and come out and be like, they're terrible over there. We need money and we need to do it this way. I think all of this, and this is my own personal opinion.
Hmm.
I think all of this stuff with Hollywood strike and the actors striking, I think it all has to come. I think it all comes down to AI in my, like, or at least that's a big part of it, where these writers and stuff probably feel threatened that, I could just type in a subject and something could print out a beautiful script. It won't be perfect. I think what will happen, and it's like, we don't need you anymore. We don't have to pay you. Carry on. And so, and even like now, I know that recent series that I don't have Disney Plus, Secret Invasion. They had a huge backlash when they showed their intro, when their intro was all created by AI. And it was like a whole, like, it's like, yeah. And the guy was like, yeah, it took me like 10 minutes. Just type stuff in and it came out. I was like, oh, this is cool. Let's just put it in. Let's make it work. So, and so some of the people are like, oh man, you're taking jobs away from people. And it's like, probably, but I think what will, I think what will happen with AI, at least as far as Hollywood, is new jobs will be kind of created. So it's like if you're a writer and AI wrote this script, they're definitely going to need people to proof it and modify it and make it fit to what they're add and take away some stuff, whatever. But I mean, imagine being able to put a show together with 5 people instead of like 400 people. Like the amount of money you would save with salaries and everything else. So that's what I think. I think that just has a big part. I think they're scared that if they don't clamp down on this now and get
Mhm.
stuff written out saying we're not going to go this route, even if we do, we'll still hire you and this and that. Like everything will be okay. That's what I think the big thing is happening. So I could
You
be
think?
wrong.
Well, I mean, it brings up a lot of questions too. Like with AI, like, can you clearly like see the passion and the commitment and the craft put into it? Like, is AI getting that advanced to where it can mimic that sort of thing? I don't. I think they're trying to work on it. I don't think it's there just yet
I
because
don't think
it's.
it's there just yet, but I
Yeah.
I don't see the passion in the shows that they're putting out now. I think it's just
Hmm.
yeah, I think it's a numbers game, and it's like okay, so we spend. I'm just throwing numbers out there. Let's say we spend $500 million on 10 shows. Will that will we make our money back in merchandise and subscribers and all that stuff? And if the numbers come back, yeah, then I think they're like, all right, just make it. It doesn't have to be good. We just need it's a numbers game. So it's like more content, more subscribers, more money, right? And we don't have to make anything good. Like the I think the to me, as a Marvel person who loved Iron Man to Endgame, I could watch all of them, even the bad ones in the middle, like Thor 2, like some of those you could skip. I just love that 11 or 12 years of Iron Man to Endgame to what we have now. And when I remember leaving the theater watching Ant-Man Quantum Mania and going, man, to me, I was like, it's over. Like this movie is terrible. Like that to me, that's like I think Thor: Love and Thunder was the worst Marvel film I've ever seen. I never saw Elementals or the Ten Rings. I never saw those. But Ant-Man was a character that I enjoyed. Like I understand his character, read him in the comic books. I understand why he can't be Giant Man. Like he has to figure out stuff when he's small. And
Hmm.
they made that movie so convenient and just so it was nothing. It was pointless. The movie was the only thing that came out of that movie was Ant-Man knows that there's a guy named Kang that might have more than one version. Like, and you could have done that in 5 minutes in a Disney Plus series. Like that's the whole movie right there. They spent a ton of movie putting that thing together, and it cost them money, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, here we are. And the beautiful thing of seeing these awesome characters be wrecked and ruined is the rise of the independent, you know, like seeing the rise of the independent creator. Like there's just concrete being poured right now with several people that are just destroying the game as far as independent creators. And it's like there's gonna be more because we're just now starting to see like action figures with these independent creations and other types of merchandise that people want to collect. While Funko Pops is like, I was working on a video for Funko Pop. I'll see if I get it done. But
Hmm.
do you have a Funko Pop? Yeah, see, so do I. I got them. I
I,
got them back there too.
I
They're
by
like
all.
falling apart, man.
Oh,
They are
really?
literally that company just laid off tons of people. They just
Oh, I
reported that
heard
in
that.
Arizona that they had to dump. It saves
I
them money, to
heard that.
dump like thousands of Funko Pops in a landfill than to even sell them for $1 because of the way the tax thing works. So they take a loss, I guess. So they saves them more money for them to just dump it. They can't even donate it to like,
Hmm.
children's charities for kids to play with. They're like, it's better for you to put them in the trash. And that's another thing that's all messed up. But then And so that's on the way down, but just seeing stuff on the
Mhm.
way up from independence is just, it's very cool to see.
And
So
I'm sure you've seen on Twitter, like, have you just seen, like, I know with Melanie Mack, she's been showcasing like Lara Croft and like just how ugly like a lot of the figures are looking. It's like that laziness is just like extending everywhere, sort of thing.
but it's
It's
like,
it's insane, and that comes also with, I mean, specifically with Croft as well. These people hate women, and they hate sexiness. It's like, no, like we've got to have it to where like women are need to be displayed as this, as like unoriginal, as like lumps. And it's like, I got a BFA in, it was called time arts, but it had to do with like video editing, audio editing, and stuff like that. And like the one thing that maybe I've learned in a in a liberal college is that money, sex, and power are like selling points. You see that in advertisement all the way. And if you honestly think you're trying to redefine sexiness into, we can think of many examples of, like, of that sort of thing. Like, think again. Sorry, I cut you
well,
off there.
no, 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 you didn't. Yeah, excellent point. It's this whole, what has happened was they begin to hire activists at these companies that have a degree in whatever it is, digital
Hmm.
marketing, whatever it is for the job. But in their heart of hearts, there's no wars going on. There's nothing happening. Everybody, either you love Trump or you hate Trump, but all that stuff. And it's like, so these people go to these companies and they're like, I'm fat and overweight. I don't want to design a sexy character because it makes me feel bad as a person. So it's like, let's make all our characters just, they basically, it's like we're all heading to Minecraft. It's just like everyone's going to be a box with a smile face on it because we don't want to offend anybody. Everyone's the same shape. Everyone does the same thing. Everyone looks the same. Might as well all wear gray and white shirts or gray and green, whatever. And let's just keep it all the same. That way, no one's offended. That way, like, ugly people that don't want to take care of themselves won't be offended. That's why fat people won't be offended. That's why skinny people won't be offended. Like all that stuff. It's like, let's just do that. Well, your company's being offended by the lack of money that's coming in because we've gotten to this point now where we're kind of sick of it. I think we were at this point where it was like it was being tolerated and we laughed at it like, oh, that's hideous. But now it's like, um, yeah, I don't want to spend my money on this anymore because this is getting ridiculous. And Dreaded Dinosaur in the chat um is an awesome artist
Oh,
who
nice.
designed a Little Mermaid comic book that is doesn't have any body positivity. I could say that. So
It's all
he's
good.
good people, man. He's good people. I see Wicked Virtue in the chat. How you doing?
Yeah, I was gonna say hello, Dreaded Dinosaur and Wicked Virtue, which I actually discovered. I think I was watching you guys play Sea of Thieves
Sea of
last
Thieves,
night.
yeah.
Yeah, I was
I'm
working on stuff.
addicted to that game, man. I can't put it down. I love that game. So
Man, a lot of like topics to like veer off of what we were talking about too. Let's kind of veer back a little bit when you were talking about Ant-Man, because I struggled with not really getting into, I guess it's not really a struggle. I didn't get into comics a whole lot as a kid. I got into more of like the manga and stuff like that. And
sure.
I know we were talking a little bit before we went live that you said you didn't really go into comics super much. But is that something that you kind of like you did check out a little bit like when you were younger, or is that something that you
Oh no,
picked
no,
up?
no. Maybe you misunderstood me. No, I have a massive comic book collection.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
I love comic books. And now I'm at that age now where like comics that I'm buying now are all like they're all like graded. So here, let me show you real quick. Hold on.
Sure.
Sorry, it's just when I stand up, I don't know, man. I don't know, like Last thing I want to show is like my butt crack
Well,
to
we
the
were
world.
just talking about body body positivity. Are you trying to hide something?
Yeah. Well, got my shorts on, but yeah. So like now it's like,
Ah, okay,
I
I
buy
get
the
you.
graded kind because like I have this one, and it's like I love the She-Hulk. This is She-Hulk #1. This is the other
Okay.
sensation. These are just two I just grabbed off my shelf, but
No,
I'm
yeah,
at
that's
I'm
cool.
at the point in my life now where it's like I want the graded ones, man. Soon I'll be doing some of my favorite GI Joe and Indiana Jones and the Punisher comics that I could find on eBay that are graded.
Okay.
And and then maybe I'll give, I don't know, some of the other ones away because I've got you get me started on comic books. See what you've done. You see what you've done?
Yeah, I don't know.
I've got like every Indiana Jones comic book
Nice.
known to man.
Yeah, I don't
Everyone that
know.
was ever made, I have them all. And I went back over them again after the film because I was sitting there like I was so upset about the film. I was like, let me go back and read some of these awesome adventures. And these are just a few. I mean, like I went and so I collect them all. They're all in like great shape too. But I would love to have like #1 graded and a couple. I have like Cyber Frog from Ethan. I have that one great. I think I have that one graded back there. I'm getting Eric July's comics graded.
Nice.
Um, stuff like that. So I like that now. Like, see, now that you get older, when you're a kid and you buy comics, like, you shove them in
Okay.
your book bag, they get all chewed up by the
Mhm.
dog. And
Okay,
now
yeah,
it's
that's
like,
I was, like, confused, like, so I don't know. I must have just been anxious that and I was like, "I thought you, like, really liked comics." So
yeah, I must have like, you must have caught me half speech. So sorry about
no.
that.
No, no, my apologies. He likes comic book guys. Don't listen
Yeah,
to me.
yeah. No, but like we were talking before, like my favorite character of all time is the Punisher.
Oh, yeah.
And the only Punisher I don't have is the first appearance of the Punisher with Spider-Man, but I have almost all of them from the early days when he's with Daredevil and the other Spider-Man ones, and then he had a limited run series. I'm looking at some of them now. Then he had like his regular run series, and then they kind of went off the rails. Then there was then after Civil War, he becomes Captain America for a couple comics, and he's like, "Yeah, I can't be Captain America." And then they destroyed his character. And I made a video on like the last series where it's because Marvel didn't like the fact that like maybe five like police officers and people, Marines and stuff, were wearing that skull and making it as a patch, and they're like, we don't want them wearing that because you know they might want to be the Punisher and do like it's like, okay, listen, we've been watching movies and playing video games and reading comics and all that stuff our whole lives. It's like when I play Call of Duty, I'm not going to go out and like, there's nothing inside of me that wants me to strap up, and parachute out of a plane somewhere in Fallujah and just go ham. It's like, that's not realistic. But yeah, so Marvel changed the character completely. They brought back his dead wife, which is the whole
Mhm.
reason why he was the Punisher to begin with. I don't know if you know this story.
No,
And
I
then,
looked into it.
yeah,
Yeah,
she came
it's
back and shamed him. And she's like, I'm going to divorce you, Frank. And he's like, the only reason I'm the Punisher is because you were killed, when I came back from the war. And so then they put him in a teleportation where he gets teleported to another dimension where he helps take care of orphans. So that's how they ended the Punisher. They tried everything in their power to move away. The Punisher is a controversial comic book character, but I think that's why he was so popular. He was a vigilante. He was an anti-hero. He had
mhm.
guns. He shot guns. And I remember there was a time period, and if you know in the chat, you can correct me, but there was a time period where I believe it was Spider-Man who told him, don't use real bullets. Like, you can't be going around killing everybody. You can't do that. So they invented this thing called mercy bullets, which doesn't kill people, but it knocks them unconscious for a while. So he did that. And he just was such a unique character. He didn't have superpowers. He didn't have anything. He lived in the sewer
Mhm.
system, and he was just so bent on revenge because his family was killed. He just wanted to punish
Mhm.
anybody that could have been a part of it, and that was his story.
That's what I
And
love.
Marvel's like, "Ah, we don't like that type of representation." It's like, you guys don't like money either, apparently, because did you see what they just did now? Marvel did with Tony Stark.
Is that the taking what, Emma Frost's last name or something?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
he's dead.
He's getting married, and he's like, I don't want the Stark name. I'm gonna take her last name, and
Bull
it's like,
shit.
because we want to teach little girls that they don't have to take the last name of their husbands when they get married. It's like, hey, if there are people out there that do that, and that's between them, and like I don't judge them or whatever, but like I don't need a comic book
Mhm.
to to shame. Yeah, I don't know, man. Do girls even buy Tony Stark comic books? Like is that's the next thing?
Well, you hit the reason why I really liked the Punisher too, is that he wasn't a superhero. Like his
Yeah.
powers were his tolerance for pain and pretty much the knowledge he acquired by being in constant battle and whatnot. And that's it's it's someone you can relate to, granted on a very extreme level, but it's relatable, you know. And it's very interesting too, because we, the people that try to destroy Frank Castle and stuff like that, they just don't want to admit themselves that at one point or another we all have had that. It's like from the Boondock Saints when um when Rocco and the brothers are talking to each other and he goes into that dialogue. It's like, we see decent people with love and family. They're coming home, they're turning on the news, and they're seeing rapists, murderers, child molesters, all getting out of prison. And everyone's thinking the same thing, that someone should just go and kill all those motherfuckers, you know? And it's, it shines a light on that darkness of humanity of like, yeah, like what if there is someone that's just like very black and white. And we've seen other characters in the comics or in graphic novels as well, like Rorschach from The Watchmen. He's very black and white. Um, Frank Castle. Like I always thought, and maybe this is something you comment on. I always imagine Frank Castle is like, this might be controversial, is like Batman, except he kills people to like the very extreme or
He's kind
something.
of.
Like,
I've heard that comparison too from others.
mhm.
I just love that they created a character with no superpowers that does go toe to toe. Doesn't usually win, but still, with people like Spider-Man, Daredevil, and Captain America,
Mhm.
it's like, and then they kind of know like the Punisher's kind of messed up, so and it's like the Punisher getting ready to kill a bad guy, and then Spider-Man's got to stop him, and then they fight, and then the Spider-Man's like, I'm not gonna kill you either, but you got to learn, like, this is not what we do. Like, we don't do that kind of stuff, and he's trying to deal with this pain and revenge and all this stuff, and it's such a mix of emotions, when you see that. So because he's like, you're my enemy now because you stopped me from killing the real enemy, but then it's like, okay, now we got to team together because they're going to do something really bad, but you could team up with me but don't kill nobody. So it's like, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like
But
that.
we'll do
So
torturous stuff though, and to get information and
yeah,
stuff like that,
dude,
ripping
then
out.
I don't remember what year it was. Like they made a Punisher video game.
Oh, I have that. I love
That
it.
was, what year was that? Like 02, 06,
It's
oh
somewhere
seven,
around that. I'll find it.
whatever it was the most controversial video game because they'll never do anything. They will never do.
2005.
Oh, 05, okay. I remember like, oh heck yeah, we got a Punisher game, and they were like, hey, you gotta be careful playing this. This is like legit messed up. And I'll never forget, he's got like some gang member over a pool, and it
Oh.
gave you the option. You're like, you could let him live or you could let or not. And when you don't, the
Mhm.
shark comes up out of this tank.
Oh
It
yeah.
just bites him in two, and you're just like, dang. It
Yeah, there's
was
a wood. Oh
insane.
man, I love that game. There's like wood chippers and drills and
He,
and all
he
that
does it to
stuff
all the
too.
bad guys. Yeah, it's like
Mhm.
they don't
Then
hold
they
back in that game. They will
then they
never do
try
anything
to
like that again.
they try to scoot around it where they made like those action events happen by like zooming in a little, like they do a weird zooming effect and they make it black and white. Well, if you get the PC version, you can hack it to get that baby uncensored and stuff, because they actually released a demo and the demo was uncensored. So someone figured out to take the information from the demo and then apply a patch to it.
I
That's a
think
really good game.
what they that's also like I remember when the Mortal Kombat game came out and it was
Hmm.
PG, but if you put in the right code, it turns into an R-rated game where you're ripping people's hearts out and stuff like that. And so that's what everybody wanted. They're like, "Give me that code, man. What is it like? Up, up, down, 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 whatever it is." And so
Oh, did you grow up
video
with?
games, man. I mean,
Did you
they
grow
get
up with?
blamed for a lot of things that I'm like,
Mhm.
they play video games all around the world. So
Well, that's one of the that sort of push, like even with the people on the right as well, that has been debunked so many times in studies that there's no correlation between it. Like one of my favorite examples is when Mo Howard from the Three Stooges was on the Mike Douglas show, and he talks about um, how he'll like when they would do their live show, they would be like, "Kids, don't try this at home. We've been doing it forever, but we also make mistakes." And that was one of the things that the mothers were upset about, that kids would learn how to do this. And a child psychologist pretty much said like there's no difference between people watching the Stooges going around slapping each other than it is of them watching a Western and going around and like shooting someone with a gun or something. Like it's the individual.
I mean, we had Tom and Jerry growing up. That poor
Mhm. Oh, dude, I love the old cartoons, like the old Looney Tunes, like your 50s and
they got
60s.
smacked around pretty good.
They would
So
like straight up like, yeah, get blown up with dynamite and stuff like that, and all you got is just your smoke cloud and all the
yeah.
ashes. Shake that sucker off, you're fine. Because that's because kids knew it was so exaggerated that it's clearly a cartoon.
Well, that's what has happened. So we've become this political correct culture.
Thanks, Dreaded.
And then people started saying, "Well, I like this stuff. I'm not a bad person if I like this stuff. If I like a little extra violence, I think it's whatever. I'm not a bad person." And so they the rise of the independent creator. It's just
Hmm.
how it is. Like I like my women figured in my comic books. I like my men freaking jacked and ripped and super strong.
Hmm.
I don't want to watch a couch potato. So
That's
that's
the other.
that's my life, man. I'm trying to get out of that life. That's why I read this stuff.
Well, that's something I don't understand. Well, that's how you can tell that these people were never fans to begin with. If your head pops off of your pillow and you look at like anime or the video game industry, like recently, what's that dumb
The lady who canceled her.
yeah, that stupid feminist whatever. I don't even care.
Yeah.
But if your head pops up and you look at something that people enjoy and your instinction is to go, I want to go into that area and I want to promote equality, this, that, you are never a fan to begin with. You didn't care because you're banking on this idea that you'll get noticed enough of I'm making a change in this area because X, Y, Z, and all that stuff. Those are the people that need to get gatekeeped out because you're destroying the spirit, because it's like like what I said earlier, like sex, money, and power. It's a selling point. Like we it's a selling point, and it sells, and yet we know that it's not real. And anybody who and this is like with the Dungeons and Dragons sort of thing. When I go into a fantasy world, I'm not imagining me myself in this reality, in that world. Like you have the option to be whatever you want. Why
To
would you
be
need
myself.
yeah,
Yeah.
why would you need someone to be like you? Like it makes no sense.
Yeah, I think you say sex and things that so
Mhm.
they've been using sex for years to sell beer to men.
Mhm.
They've been using, like when they have cars and stuff like that, they have women in bikinis and stuff like that. like Carl's Jr. did like a Super Bowl ad with that girl, like lick it. What was her name? But it's like, yeah, you're absolutely right. These people aren't dumb, man. They know that this will sell stuff. Also, now we're at this point now where it's like, can I just get a good story to like take me away for like an hour where I'm like
Yeah.
in this thing? And what's up, Don? Hi, it's good to see you. One of my people. And
It's all good.
it's like I just want to enjoy I want to go there and laugh. Like
Mhm.
I just came back from Meg 2, right? I did a review on the channel. I knew going in this was going to be a stupid, ridiculous, over the top. It's not going to be like, brain numbing. It's not going to be like Oppenheimer. It's not going to be like, a slow burn. This is going to be Sharknado ridiculousness. And it's exactly what it was. And it's like for an hour and 45 minutes or however long, it was like, it just got stupider and stupider and outrageous. But I loved it. I was like, this is hilarious because even the people making that film know it's like this is the kind of movie we're making. So it's like this is what you're gonna expect, and we've come to this place where it's the storytelling is just so horrific. Again, I go back to Ant-Man and Quantumanium. It's like there was no risk, there was no reward. They were just walking around. They tried to impress you with pretty colors. There was no like everything was convenient. They were like, I don't know if you've seen the movie, but it was there was they needed to fight Kang, and they're like, how are we gonna fight Kang? And they're like, oh look, there's ants that's lived here for 10,000 years. Let's use them. Like just convenient. Like everything was convenient. It's like, I don't know how to beat them. Well, let me become giant, like maybe my daughter, she'll put on the suit and become giant and we'll just win. It just was it just was nothing to it, the whole film. And so that is like lazy storytelling. And the worst thing that Hollywood has done, I don't know why they think this was a good idea. They kind of were doing it before The Last Jedi, but I call it the Last Jedi effect. When they take an established hero of years that has tons of work out there, that people that love this character know exactly who this character is and his traits and what he's going to do, and they decide to beat that character down into the ground to nothing to bring up their character that they created. So it's like, I know you guys love Luke, but he's a loser now. And now look at Ray. We made Ray. She's everything that you wanted and more. Look at Indiana Jones. I know he's a drunk, divorced, doesn't want to live life anymore, even though he's done, amazing and seen amazing things. We broke him and beat him down so you can find this new hero that's better. Like, that's what you guys want, right? It's like, no, that's not what we want at all. I don't know where you guys thought that is the quick and easy way to create a character that everyone will fall in love with and buy the action figures and read the stories and read the sub stories and go find books, and talk about them on podcast. It's not how it works. You make characters, and over the years, people debate them, and then you write these stories and everything. It's just not how it works. But they want this quick, easy, like, let me make a character quick. You're gonna love it. It's gonna work. It's gonna be great. And then it fails, and then they blame, well, it's those old white guys on YouTube, man. It's their fault. They're not watching it. Just like, wow.
N-
Okay.
Yeah, I think I mean, I think it's definitely purposeful that they're doing that sort of thing, because I truly believe that they know that the stories and even the morals, like back in the 80s and 90s, where some of it could be very zany and all that, they knew that that worked and they knew people like it. So they're just trying to create a fake copy of it and simply apply their ideology into it. And as far as I'm concerned, I even think some stuff is purposely done, like to even throw money at it for reviewers to say like, this is fantastic, this is the most amazing thing ever, to rewrite it, and to when future generations go, I like this character, where did this character come from, I want to know more about it. I want to look back into the history. They want their version of that character to be the prominent
So
one,
you
that
want to know
this.
the problem with that? New generation aren't liking these characters. Yeah, but I agree with you completely.
Hmm.
They just released the High Republic, Star Wars High Republic sales. The first book did 100,000 copies. And just to give like a little, um, I guess a sidebar, ISOM 1 from Eric July did
Hmm.
about 70,000 copies. Independent creator. This is a Star Wars brand with millions of subscribers, millions of followers on social media, websites, everything like that. And they promoted these books. All right. And the first one did 100,000, and the last one they released did 2,000 plus sales. My book sold more than a Star Wars book. That just showed that people have given up, and it just
Hmm.
fades. It's fading into nothing. But they are trying everything in their power to make this stuff relevant. That's why we got the Acolyte coming out. It's like, hey, it's a High Republic series. Hey, get ready. And they threw in High Republic in, like, I think the Kenobi series or whatever. But I don't even care anymore. It's so sad. But it's um they think that this is how you do it. This is how it's done. And so it's like, if we make enough content with this character, people will just like it. No, people are going elsewhere to find other characters and other stories, because if you can't even sell 3,000 books with a Star Wars, I mean, listen, Star Wars like coloring books were selling more than that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could put Star Wars on a coloring book and it was doing, like, the numbers don't lie. Like, they were doing better. Than people just don't care about Star Wars anymore. Like we were saying, like, nostalgia has lost its way. It's like you can't slap
Hmm.
Star Wars on anything and expect people to buy it. It just doesn't work that way anymore, because you've destroyed the brand. Look at Indiana Jones, set to lose them like hundreds of millions of dollars. Never thought in my wildest dreams an Indiana Jones film would lose, not just lose 5 million, 10 million, like hundreds of millions of dollars. And it really broke my heart as a huge Indiana
Hmm.
Jones fan. It was just like, this is god awful.
Yeah,
So
I like Indiana Jones. I wouldn't say I'm a super hardcore Indiana Jones, but like, yeah, it's just I feel the same way. Like when they did it with well, they kind of fixed it a little bit, but with Ghostbusters, and I'm not even a big Ghostbusters. I have yet to this day to still see the Fat Busters version. I refuse to. But I mean,
it's
the
god awful.
that's what I've seen
It's
enough
god
clips.
awful. It's not
What's up,
even worth.
Mo?
Yeah, you're right. It's not even worth your time. My man Mo's in the chat. I see you.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah,
So
thanks everyone for hanging out. But I have this theory. I have this theory when it comes to like what you're talking about, like in the gaming industry. I think that they're still trying to figure out what they could make the golden calf that they can point back to say, well, this this wokeism, this ideology, all this stuff worked. Because I think with video games, I think they use The Last of Us Part Two as their golden calf because they can point back to that one and say, look at this, it won all this awards and all that stuff. And I'm just like, I don't believe that for a second. Like, I don't have any receipts or anything. I would not be surprised that those judges were biased, maybe even paid off to say that it was great. Because I think around that time, Ghost of Tsushima was around that time. And the fans, Ghost of Tsushima won the Fan Choice Award. That should show, I believe, that should show you that they cared about that than they did about The Last of Us Part Two. Because The Last of Us Part Two got all butthurt because they were like, we got review bombed and because of the leaks and all that stuff. So then they turned around and then with the Ghost of Tsushima, where they complained about what was it, whitewashing? Because like in the awards where they were showing gameplay and the white guy doing the playing the I don't know what the instrument is,
yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah,
but
I remember all that.
but I mean, I played through The Last of Us Part 2, and that was like one of the very first video games where I just said to myself, gosh, I hope I'm done with this game. I really hope I'm done with this game. I've committed too much. There was one game that made me straight up stop, and that was The Evil Within, because I got tired of
Oh,
replaying that same boss over and over and over, where it's like you defeated him, well now he's back. You defeated him, well now he's back. I'm just like, dude, I'm done. And you got to upgrade because you're a detective and you need to get your aim like more steady and stuff like that. And I'm like, but you're already a police officer. You should have already passed those tests when you became a police officer.
Lazy writing. That I think that will be
Mhm,
a tougher market to crack,
mhm,
but I think it's going to eventually happen because there's going to be a smaller studio that has the talent and the tools to come forward and be like, yeah, we're not going to put all this woke stuff in it. It's going to be gory. It's going to be blood. We're just going to let it fly, man. And people will gravitate to that and just be like, hey, this is their first run. They did their best, because like doing comic books and stuff, it's not cheap to do that either. So, but it's doable. It's kind of doable with crowdfunding and I know a lot of people that crowdfund. So it's like
mhm,
they get a couple of photos from the artist. And they're like, "This is the comic book I want to do, and it's going to cost me so much. Can you pre-buy?" Right?
mhm,
So they're able to do that. So they pre-buy. They get their money. They're able to pay their artist, their writer, whatever they're going to do, and print them and then ship them out. And some people, like, they crowdfund and take a year to get their product. As long as they're upfront with that, I don't think it's a big deal. um I was fortunate enough, at least with my book, that I had the money to get it completely done, like before I
mhm,
even like put it on Indiegogo. And so, I in the video game industry, that's going to take a lot of money to, like, if somebody was like, "Hey, I want to make
mhm.
this video game." If they want to compete with, like, with some of these
Yeah, the
bigger
triple A's.
games like Call of Duties and stuff like that, yeah, that'll cost. But if they do some like smaller stuff, because you look at games like what's that game where you're like a little bean and you just kind of jump around, Fall Guys, things like that. I mean, those could be a little easier to make, but still.
Mhm. Well,
I,
Hades knocked it out of the park. I believe Hades was an independent one, and that game was
was it
awesome.
really? I did not
I
know
think
that.
so. I think so. Don't quote me on that, but
I'm gonna
I thought it
quote you
was
and hold you accountable.
okay. That is all right. I will take
No,
the hit. Romas says, "How do you fellas over on Rumble? What's up, man? We're just hanging out, talking with
yeah.
Drunk3PO, aka Jay, or Jay D3PO on your Twitter, and all of Jay's stuff is listed in the description. Check him out. Support all of his work and all that. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. Because I got to be good friends with Joe Ball, who's doing Death at Death, and they recently just did the another
Oh,
comic.
Joe is good people.
Yeah, Joe, I love Joe. He's a really good guy, and I helped made their website, King Toad Incorporated, and they're
Did
recent.
you?
Yep, yep, and they just recently. It's like what you were saying too, where if you can, like, sometimes you can have enough funds to create everything, and then just put up the Indiegogo, and then you can just, it's ready to go. You can do it right there. They just did that with Swarm, a new book they just came out. So, but yeah,
No,
it's.
Joe's good. I met him at Anime Matsuri. And what he did for me, I was like, we were sitting next to each other at the table, and like he gave me like some of his comics that he had out there, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Joe, you got any gum?" And he's like, no, I'll go get some." The man left for like an hour. He had to leave Anime Matsuri. He went to this side store, bought a couple packs of gum, and came back. I was like, "Where the freak did you go, man?" He goes, "Oh, they don't sell it here. I had to go like way out to this corner store." I'm like, "Bro, you did not have to do that. Somebody here has got a stick of gum. All I had to do was like, if anybody got a piece of gum, somebody would have had a piece of gum."
What a
He's like, "Nah,
trooper.
man, it's good. That's Joe for you, man. That is
Yeah,
Joe
Joe,
for you."
I got to be I'm humbled and blessed to be good
Yeah.
friends with Joe. Um, that's right. Oh, I don't think we talked. I was at Anime Matsuri last year. So,
Yeah, I sat in Yellow Flash's
yep,
table,
that's what I
and
remember.
somebody took my picture and posted on Twitter, and they're like, "Yellow Flash showed his face," and all his haters were like, "Man, that dude is ugly. Hide your face again." Like, I was like, "What? That's not even me, and I'm not even ugly, but whatever." I made a video out of it, made some money, so
There
whatever,
you go.
man. Whatever. I thought it was kind of funny. They're like, "Yellow Flash face reveal," and I'm like, because I'm sitting at his table, and I'm like some stupid smile, but anyway.
Are you gonna go to this year? Which is
I
pretty
will
much.
not. No, I have
Mm,
I wanted to go, but I have like last year I traveled way too much, and then it just was like I ate too much crap, and I'm like trying to like recover from that. And then I started the year off just as terrible. I January I was because of my 9 line apparel sells records and stuff. I got invited to go to SHOT Show. I've never been to a gun show like that. I'm not really
Hmm.
like a 2A person. Like I'm in the geek world. This is a 2A world where people are like talk about tanks and rounds and type of bullets and guns. And I'm like, I'm just walking around like, hey, how's everybody doing? You know, and they had a booth for me there, and like there's massive amounts of people. It was really cool. Like that was really humbling to see people there that knew who I was, because I don't really talk about guns or anything like that, but yet it all
Mhm.
kind of intertwines with this whole we just hate what's happening and we're all on the same team. We might just be a little
Mhm.
different. So I was in Vegas for a week for that. I come back in January, then we leave again to go to Vegas, and I drove from Florida all the way to Los Angeles. I've never drove across the country before. That was my first time. I was like, this will be cool. That'll be my last time driving across country, because I was like, that was brutal. You know, it's like, how many more
Oh yeah.
hours left to go? 30. It's like, geez, man. We're all like tired and grouchy, like on day 3, you know? And so it's like, then we still have to do meetups and meet people and have to do like all that stuff. So it's like, and then then we got invited to Universal Studios Hollywood to see Super Nintendo World. So there was someone from the company was there that got us in with tickets and fast passes and all that stuff. It was really cool. And I was just so, and then when it was all said and done, we had to drive back, and there was 2 people that were riding with us. I won't name their names, but
Mhm.
Jeremy rented a bigger truck, that could fit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people. And 2 people were like, I'm not driving back. It's too much. I'm gonna fly. They spent the money and they got on a plane to fly back.
Did you guys not do shifts? Because I did that when I used to live in Illinois.
We did
When
shifts, yeah.
Yeah, when I went.
We did shifts. But it was like around 4 in the morning. There was nobody like hello and perky, you know? It was like, how you doing, Jay? I was like, man, I'm tired. Can you go? Maybe another 30. Can you? Man, I'm exhausted too. So it's like, all right, let's get a hotel room at 3 in the morning where you sleep till like, 10, and then you got to hit the road again. So, and then you're just eating. I will say this, the gas stations in Texas are amazing. There's like these brisket beef barbecue gas
Buc-ee's.
stations. It wasn't Bucky. Yeah, we have Bucky's in Florida too. Those are
Oh.
all top tier, but there was these other ones that were like they just had this big sign that said Texas barbecue, had gas station. You go in and like there's somebody there slicing meat and turkey, and I'm just like, this is the greatest place ever. I'm getting like they're like, what would you like? I'm like 2 pounds of turkey. Like, all right, no problem. They load me up with like I bring it in the car and everyone's like, "Oh my god, it smells awful, Jay." I'm like, "Dude, 2 pounds of turkey, it's like $6. What?" No, I'm not passing that out. They dumped gravy on it. Everybody was so nice, and it's like then they had like oh, listen, I'm getting hungry. They had like banana cream pudding, banana pudding.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness. I'm like, if they don't have that in heaven, then I'm gonna have to talk to the big man and say, hey, I know you got food up here and it's lovely, but can you get some banana?
I was gonna, I was gonna say the scripture always says like being in heaven's like being at a banquet. So, except
Yeah.
everything will be perfect and good. So I could definitely see there being banana pudding without gaining any weight and stuff. Just enjoying it.
Oh man, it'd be great.
You brought up
It'll,
a
it'll
good
be great.
you brought up a good thing too that I think a lot of people also come together, like when you were saying like I'm not really a 2A person, but because people saw me through other stuff, we could all just come together because we're upset about what's happening too. And that's kind of like something that I've caught on, is that people really people really like transparency. They like that transparency, and they like you just being you and not having a facade or a persona that's online. For some people, it works, but to me, like when it comes to from some of the people I've seen, you're all like I've always this person, and then later on, like way down in like one of their videos, they have a serious video where it's like I just couldn't feel or like be myself. I was just so trapped and stuff. And to me, it's just like, well, why weren't you just you to begin with, sort of
Ah,
thing.
yeah.
And of course, it's kind of like, obviously, it's if you have like a very clever niche or something like that, then yeah, that definitely helps you. But I think what a lot of people are doing now when it comes like when what we're seeing in the indie area, whether that's video games or comics, it's that true transparency. If anything, transparency in the sense of that's who they are as a person, sort of thing. And there could be some stuff to where you disagree with, which, that's just the world.
That's life, man.
That's life.
That's the other thing too. It's like when you're transparent, you got to welcome others' opinion
Hmm.
and not beat them down for it. It's like, especially when I go live on my channel and like I say, oh, I like, I'm a people hate it, but I'm a huge fan of Avatar. I don't know why. I just am. I love the Avatar. I love the Avatar 2. I'm excited for Avatar 3. And people in the chat are like, oh, Jay, that's a horrible take. I was like, I respect your take that you didn't like it. I know it's not for everybody. But for some reason, I think I just caught the Avatar bug right in the middle of me, like right in the middle of my heart just breaking for Star Wars and Star Trek. And it's like, sci-fi is dead. I need some sci-fi. And they're like, then the Avatar rose. I'm like, all right. And I just liked it. I don't know what it was. So, it's like you gotta respect other people's opinions because how awful is it if we all lived in a world where it's like we all love the same thing the same way and we all agree on everything the same. How boring would that be? That's not how we were designed. That's not how God created the world. It's like he made
Hmm.
hundreds of different types of beautiful flowers for us to enjoy, butterflies and everything else. People in different parts of the world have amazing sunsets. you know it's not the same in Florida as it is in Texas, but it's just as pretty, but it's not the same. It's like I hear people all the time like, man, Florida sunsets are cool, but you got to see it over in Tennessee, or you got to see it from the mountains of here. You got to see it. And it's like, yeah, you're right. Even though like I might prefer this one, but people, there's people like I prefer going to the beach while I prefer camping in the mountains. I prefer snow. I prefer heat. Like I prefer in Florida. I don't like going to the cold places. So it's like, how weird would this world be if it was just like, let's just push away everyone that doesn't agree exactly like me. And that goes back to your original point of cancel culture, because that's what these people want. You must think the way I think. You must spend your money the way I tell you. You must, type
Hmm.
and put this in your bio, and you must say these things, and you must change your language and change the definition of gender and pronouns and everything. You
Hmm.
must do that, or you're a bad person, or I'm going to shame you, or we're going to come after you. We're going to get you fired. We're going to like destroy your business. We're going to do all that stuff. Like that's what they do. And it's like, what a miserable existence that is. Like, how do these people even like, how do they even breathe without crying? And then you see them on TikTok later and they're just like, somebody called me a he and not a her, and it's awful. And I
Jeez.
think I got to do it. You ever seen those videos? And you're just
Oh
like,
yeah.
dear
Oh.
God,
Oh
man.
yeah.
Like,
It,
that's
it
your biggest problem in life? Holy crap.
it's definitely it's definitely something that I think uh, uh, the devil is gonna use, like when the Antichrist comes and build that army to fight against when Christ actually comes back too. That's why they're pushing this whole AI thing, I think, as well. And it's to me, it's all part of the plan, and we're slowly starting to see like the reveal of it too. I think we're at like the birthing pangs, like what the Bible says right now. I don't think we're there just yet because a lot of the stuff that shows that it's happening is going to be felt worldwide. And so it's like we're not there yet, but it's just it's so sad. But like what you were talking about too is like the beauty that God, created like all this earth and just for us and stuff. And unfortunately, through Adam and Eve, like we dropped the ball and stuff like that. but that's part of where we can come together as people and stuff like that, is to remind people that we can see that beauty and stuff, but also to be aware to point out the counterfeit, because that, everything Satan does is a counterfeit to what God does. He always creates the counterfeit.
Well, if he makes people feel that their life is pointless and worthless, and the only way you're going to have meaning is fighting people that won't put pronouns in their bio on social media, I think he's got you there, because it's like, what is that, man? Like, there's people in our country that are hungry and homeless and looking for work, and there's so many other things that you could be fighting for, instead of like silliness like that. It's like that stuff will never, even if you won, even if they won, which they almost kind of did, because now, like, anytime you fill out for social media, they ask you if you want to put pronouns in. But like, even if they won and everybody put pronouns, it still wouldn't be good enough, because they just don't know what to do with themselves. And that is when you have a lack of, like, yeah, like understanding who the creator was, and who he
Hmm.
is in their life. And it's like, what is the purpose of my life? Where is my value?
Hmm.
So it's like, I guess the only value that I have is getting attention. So when I get attention, I guess that means I have value for the attention I get. So then you see like these people do extreme stuff, like shave their head and color their hair, because people look at them, and it's like they're staring at it. They're like, all right, I must be doing something right, because now I got
Exactly.
attention.
It's that but the catch 22 is like, again, I kind of mentioned it earlier. It's like, do you honestly think the people in power are going to go back to you later and pat you on the head and be like, well, since you supported us, here's your piece of the pie? They're not going to do that. So you're wasting your
They
energy.
don't think, I know, you're right, 100%. They just don't think like that.
It's,
They
and
they
that's,
think that they're changing the world, and it's
mhm.
very bizarre. And the only way you get to them, and like, like young Ripa and Jeremy, they're like, you just got to laugh at them and be like, you have no power over me.
Mhm.
You
Yep.
just don't. And so what do? They either block you on social media and then talk about you behind your back, or they try to tear you down, and it's like, you have no power over me. You're not. And
Yeah.
then they're like, well, let's just dox them, and let's just try to get their socials taken down, and everything is like, you have no power over me.
Yeah. It's like,
And then they
you,
eventually they'll move on,
and you see that so much on how easily they crumble. Cause like, like what the scripture says, they build their morals and their beliefs on sand. And then when
Yeah.
that sand gets checked, they freak out. Like
Yeah.
when someone body checks them back, that it's just, they crumble so easily because they thought they had it, and they thought, well, I thought we did enough to where we socially shamed them and stuff like that. And by constantly doing that, you turn into the boy who cries wolf, to where it's like what you said, you have no power over me. Like, this
Yeah.
doesn't mean anything anymore. Like, I know what the truth is, and I base mine on the scripture. Like, that's the truth. So like, you're not going to shake me from that. So it's, these people are
Agreed. Agreed.
ins-
And I do, I hope that, and sometimes I see them and I'm like, sometimes I feel sorry for these people, because they are living this life that they think is important, but everybody's
Mhm.
laughing at you, man. Everyone's laughing at you,
And
and they're
yeah, and
miserable. You see what they post and stuff, and they're just like, oh, I gotta work 8 hours today. It's so hard. It's like this guy that was in Starbucks. He's like, I got a job at Starbucks, and it's
oh
just
yeah.
hard. Like 7 hours. I just can't do 7 hours of work. And I'm like, buddy, have you seen what other people do for a living? Like, carrying concrete and all that stuff like that. It's like, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And then it's those people that, it's the same ones that are just like, um, I'm broke and I need a job. And it's like, well, why don't you DoorDash? Well, I'm not lowering myself to that level. I need a management position, and it's like, it doesn't work like that, sweetheart. So go cry and be mad, and go on TikTok and just say that everyone's oppressing you, that you're oppressed because you
Mhm.
can't get your dream job, because you can't sit around and just get money. It just doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. So good luck.
Yeah, and it definitely, and it ties into like the whole once again, back to Hollywood and stuff. They don't want to put the work in. They don't want to put the effort in. They don't want to put the heart in to the craft that they're doing. They're thinking that they're trying to find the copy and paste formula to where it'll work every single time. And it's like, nope, like that's just laziness. And now you're getting upset to where you have the ultimate copy and paste, literally AI, to where just tweak it a little bit and you can make it work. And now you're freaking out like, oh, well, and it's insane.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know when I don't know when they'll something will happen in these people, because I've met people
mm-hmm.
that have gone through this SJW period, I guess, and realized this is all like a crock of crap, man. Like, because once you say one little thing that the entire mob is against, they're like, oh, yeah, you can't be with us no more. Goodbye.
That
So
That's why they constantly change the definitions, and that's why the people only in power stay in power. But yet you'll see them turn on each other when the skeletons get exposed. It's hilarious. It's so pathetic. It's like, and it comes to a lack of morals, is what
it's,
it is.
yeah, I'm telling you, man, it's crazy time.
Crazy time. Well, we are at an hour and 6 minutes. Uh, I'm curious, real quick, just to want to know about how pirates, because you
Oh
have
yeah, man.
a pirate channel up, and I just kind of want to know what got you into that, and we'll end on that. So, can you kind of like just give a brief, like, was that something that you like were just fascinated by young?
So I went to when I went to college, I wanted to be a history I wanted to be Indiana Jones. So it's
Oh,
like I
okay.
wanted to teach history. And so I got my bachelor's degree is actually in world religions. And
Oh, cool.
and with that title, it's you learn about the artifacts and stuff like that and traditions and everything. And then
Hmm.
when it came to my master's degree, it was Roman history.
Mm.
So, but that's not the history that I really loved. I love the pirate history, but they don't have a class that just teaches pirate history. So you had to like pick one, and hopefully that it kind of bleeds in a little bit. So I was like, I was always fascinated with pirates. Always. I never really I have a few people that were really close to me that we would have like that we would talk, talk pirate history and stuff. And I thought it was great. And then all of a sudden, one of these guys were like, Jay, I know you're doing the YouTube thing, like, why don't you just start a history channel? Because I'm sometimes getting sick of you talking about it. So that way you could just get it out of your system. The golden age of piracy it was such a fascinating time for me, and like to read about, and I'm still doing reading because like, and I go visit these museums, and I look like a little like it's embarrassing to take me to a pirate museum because I'll be like, oh my gosh, it's Jack Bellamy's. Da, 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 da. It's like, okay, man, calm down. It's a plank of wood. It's like, it's like, yeah, but he was there. He probably touched it. And to see, so piracy got started. So like, I could do a quick history. The golden age of piracy started with England was at war with Spain, and England didn't have the money to or the resources to fight Spain on the open sea. So they invented this term called privateering, which is basically piracy with a letter saying you have the right to do that. So you have the right to sink any Spanish ship, and maybe French will overlook. And you could take the ship, you could do whatever you want. It's yours to keep. Here's your letter. So they got all these people, and it became such a big business. Then the war was over. So then England was like, you can't do that anymore. If you do that, we're going to catch you and hang you. And like England during that time, and Spain and France, that time was like that was the time you got caught stealing. They dragged you out into the public square and cut your hand off. If you got caught doing something that broke the law, they dragged you out in the public hearing and hung you. It was like that was the time period. It was like brutal. So then like all these privateers that were like, well, what are we gonna? We got no job now. Like, well, we'll just become pirates. So they became pirates, and they hunted down Spanish ships and French ships, and so it was England that actually invented these pirates. And there was other English governors that were in like South Carolina and Nassau and other that were like, all right, if you sink this Spanish ship, just bring me some of the gold and I won't arrest you. So there's all these little deals going back and forth.
There
I
you
just
go.
found it fascinating that these flamboyant characters like Blackbeard, Calico Jack, Benjamin Hornigold, and Black Sam Bellamy, they became these folk figures, that people, I don't know, like idolize is the best word, but like have written stories and we study them, and it's like it's so fat. There's museums dedicated to these people, which I bet they thought in a million years it would never, like, who would care about my life, Like Blackbeard was a horrible human being, like the way he tortured and killed people, and he ended up getting his head cut off, and it got shoved on a stake, for people to see. And
Oof.
so, yeah, it was like it just became
Some Vlad the Impaler.
such a fascinating, turn of events, how like all these people were living in this certain time period that shaped some parts of the America, and like how people do business, and how like Nassau and Haiti and all these places were like pirate safe havens, and they developed their own towns and their own government and their own stuff, and people were pulling from those rules and rebuilding those towns for their own thing. It's just so fast. So to me, it's just like I can't stop reading about how, like, Sam Bellamy was like I'll do this. I'll do Sam Bellamy. He was in Massachusetts. He got a girl pregnant. It was very religious. Like most of the people that left England to go to the America were like very religious. Like that's a no. If you pregnant out of marriage, you were shunned from the village, from the family, and you were like someone with I don't know, a curse. Like nobody wanted you around. You were damaged. So he was like, I got to make quick money. So this guy was like, hey, you used to be in the Navy, like let's get a pirate ship and let's get some gold, and then you could have whatever you want. So Black Sam Black Sam Bellamy had this ship, and he came across the Wida galley, just random. And he wins by everybody taking off all their clothes and acting like crazy people on the ship. These people gave up. It was the biggest haul of any pirate in the history of whatever. There was so much gold on that ship. There was so much that he was over and done. His like, my pirate career is over. They get on the Wyndham, and he starts to head back home to marry the woman he loves, to build a house, to like get her away. Like she's poor. Nobody wants her, this and that. And he steers the ship right into a hurricane, and it explodes off, like, I think North Carolina, maybe a little bit up north, and everybody dies except for two people.
Jeez.
And the two people go back to these pirate havens, and like, the Wida, like that had like, I don't know, they estimated like hundreds of, like, not hundreds of million, but about $100 million in gold and stuff. They're like, yeah, it's over here. It crashed. You guys want to help me? And of course not. We're pirates. We're going to go get it ourselves. So those people got messed up. And they're like, where's Black Sam Bellamy? He's dead. He died in the hurricane. So it's like now this woman is like, she don't know what to do. So his son that was born, he wanted to like avenge oh man, it's just so
Just
crazy how
so
it all like,
crazy.
and then you have to like break down you got me talking about it. That's a problem. You have to break down like what was fantasy mythology lore with these people,
Hmm.
and what was actual facts, and what
Hmm.
because mythology will tell you that Blackbeard would take over slave ships and make the slaves part of his crew because they had nothing really to live for, so he thought they were the best fighters. So he had a ship that were freed slaves, but he would go back to South Carolina and then sell those slaves after they did all his fighting for him, and he got rich. So he was a terrible person.
Guess he knew
So
how to make a quick buck.
Yeah, and then he would go repeat the process. He'd go back
Yeah.
and be like, "You're free, everyone. Let's join our crew." And then they would find some ships, and like, he'd be Blackbeard and set his beard on fire, and
No.
he'd take over ships and all that stuff, and like they'd win. He's like, "All right, we did that." Then he'd go back to South Carolina with all these slaves, and be like, "I got all these slaves here. You want them?"
I was
Crazy,
trolling.
right? It's like
It's
it's such a
crazy. I
fascinating thing.
remember
Like,
I remember like kind of going through the internet, and I can't remember like the full name, but there was like this very young captain, and like he was known as Captain Steve, and he did all this stuff like at a very young age, like at age like 16, like doing all this like pillaging and stuff like that, and it was just insane. But yet like he died of heart failure like way early
yeah.
on. And then but then I realized
Oh, Captain Steve's a fucking horse.
I'm just kidding. I made that up. So
No, that's funny. No, but it's true. Like a pirate's life was about 2 years because either they get sick, on the ship, or they would just die. So because
that's
there was
crazy.
no dentist, so they had horrible dental hygiene. It would cause
Oh
infection and
wow.
pain, and it
Do they
would
just
just
rip that sucker
they would
out?
rip the teeth out, or like, but the infection would just go into their, being out there. Like scurvy was you get scurvy because there's no vitamin C. So you need vitamin C so you don't
Get
get
them
like
oranges.
basically all you need is an orange and you'll be fine. So it's like, but they didn't have that. They just ate fish, or they had chickens on board, or turtles. They see sea turtles, they'd pick them up. It's and like 85 to 90% of the pirates on ships did not know how to swim. So if
Really? Wow.
the boat
Hmm.
tipped, they go into the water and they just drowned instantly.
Jeez.
Isn't
You
that
think that
crazy,
you
right?
think
It's
that would
like
be like Pirate 101. Like, okay, guys, if we're
pirates were psychotic people that had no more, like they had a code, but they had like, to be on a pirate ship was like, I want to make quick money, so I figure I'll be on here for like a year and then I'm done. It's like, and it usually was people that were uneducated, that couldn't find work, that were bums on the street, that just didn't care. And so a lot of these pirates they would make quick money, but they would also spend it quick in in the Caribbean. So it's like crazy. It's crazy. So they'd be millionaires. These people that were scrubbing the deck, nobodies, they would all be like millionaires in their time. They could have taken their portion and just disappeared somewhere in the Americas, in
exactly.
South Carolina, New York, New Jersey, wherever. Probably bought a home and a farm and lived a beautiful, wonderful life. But it just,
That
it's that
that thrill
greed,
of
man. Just
yeah,
hooks
that
you.
that
It happens to people today too. It just hooks you.
mm. Oh
And
yeah, the love of money.
yeah, man. And it's like, it's like, well, what am I gonna do? I'm uneducated. I got no teeth. Like I'm hideous. I
Just
got
get
none. So
some
it's
wooden
it's
ones.
like the whole it's very fascinating for me to like put the dots from early America, from England, Spain, and France. So like all this like is really weird. Like all this stuff going on. So like France owned the country of Haiti, and Spain owned which is now DR, but the island was called Hispaniola. The country of Haiti was used as a slave trade from France. So Napoleon actually owned like half of America, right? So when the slaves revolted, and some of them were leaving and joining pirates and everything, they revolted against France. France needed money, so they sold the only asset that they had, which was America. The Louisiana Purchase was invented, and so France used that money to hire pirates to go back and try to take over the country of Haiti. But because many of the pirate ships had freed slaves on there, they just took France's money and didn't do anything. So France lost the country of Haiti to the slaves that were there during the slave revolt. It was the first country ever to have slaves overthrow and become their own nation. Haiti's a mess now, but I'm just saying, like, as far as history goes, it's like it's just all like plays into like where we are today. It's just quite
Mhm.
it's quite wild, when you study that
Yeah,
stuff.
I've been really diving into that sort of thing with the scripture and stuff, because a lot of history gets twisted by polytheism and Gnostic stuff, and it's like
Well, that's why I like the Roman history that I studied, because you could
Hmm.
place a lot of that in like the Bible, and what when Jesus was
Yeah.
like saying stuff. It's like, okay, that makes more sense, because
Hmm.
he was talking about this law here that many people don't realize that was a law during the day of Rome, and how to, like, when he says like go the extra mile, like, just for instance, the law of the
Hmm.
land was, if a Roman soldier, no matter what you were doing, asked you to carry his stuff for a mile, you had to do it, or else you'd be punishable by death.
Hmm.
So Jesus was like, don't go a mile, go 2 miles. And people are like, what, you out your mind, Jesus? I'm not walking 2 miles. I hate the Romans. They occupy my country.
Hmm.
So Jesus is like, no, go the extra mile, go another mile. So it's such a fascinating thing to see, to think about. Like, me and you are hanging out, like, we're gonna
Hmm.
go out to our friend's house to eat dinner and maybe have some wine, and a Roman guard looks at you and says, not 1 mile. You're like, I'm about to go to a party, man. 1 mile. Here's all my stuff, about 80 pounds. And it didn't matter if you were a child, a woman, man. If they just
Hmm.
pointed at you, like, carry my sword and shield while I'm walking, you had to carry it for a mile. That was the law. So
Yeah.
Jesus was like, hey, when they ask you to go a mile, go an extra
Hmm.
mile. It's like, to hear Jesus say that when people hated that law, kind
Hmm.
of, for me, it brings it a little more like perspective as to
Well,
what he was asking people to do. So
I mean, I think of the story of the centurion.
yeah.
Jesus said he was the most faithful that he's ever seen, and a non-Jew. Like
And the
it was
guy was
amazing.
like, you can't even come to my house, God. I'm a bad man. Like,
Yeah,
but if you say the
exactly.
word, that person's gonna be healed. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Jesus said. He said, everything you know, I'm flipping it upside down. So we're coming up on an hour and a half here, so I don't want to hold you anymore, Jay. If you need to go, thank you very much for being a guest. I think we just scratched
Oh,
the
dude, I
surface
had a
of
great
stuff.
time, man.
Yeah, I'd love to have you come back on the show. And thanks to
When my
everyone who.
second book launches, invite me back. I'd love to come back on. I'd
Yeah,
love
for
it.
sure. I was actually gonna say, anything you want to plug?
Not really. Just like, I know you put the History of Pirates channel down there. If you
Mm-hmm.
haven't subscribed, check it out. It's totally different than my normal.
Mm-hmm.
We have a cool team over there that tries to put together little mini movies. And we've got some really long content that we're gonna do, like a whole Blackbeard. That'll probably be like a 30-minute video, and a couple other ones too. But we got some cool little short ones coming out, just to keep stuff up while we're reorganizing. So, but it's a lot of fun, and we're trying to get to 5,000 subs. It'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's not for, like, again, it's not for everybody, but if you like that kind of stuff, like, I totally get it. It's
Mhm.
it's right there. And I want to thank everybody, people that I know really well: Clemson, Mo, Dawn, who showed up, Dreaded Dinosaur. You guys, like, those are part of my crew.
Yeah.
And it's
Thank
also
you.
good to see you, Chaos.
Yeah. Thank
So,
you, Don Mo Chaos. He's one of I guess my crew. Dreaded Dinosaur, Wicked Virtue, Clemson
oh
PC.
yeah, wicked.
Thanks you guys for coming. Like I said, and like what Jay said, all of his information is in the description below. I also do game streaming, um, and another show that I'm kind of working on called Redacted and Classified Knowledge, where we talk more conspiracy sort of talks and stuff like that. So that one's always fun. So if you guys want to catch me on that, just feel free to smash the subscribe and punch the like button and ring the bell to get notified when I go live. And all my other
Fantastic.
stuff is listed in the description as well. So, you know, it's always weird when I always feel weird when it's like plugging sort of thing, but it's like, yeah,
Gotta do it, man.
gotta
You
do
gotta
it.
do it.
Gotta do it. All right. Well, thanks again, you guys. I'll catch you guys on the flip side, but God bless. Take care. And you guys have a good rest of your night. Thanks again, Jay.
No problem. Thank you.